So I just watched the series finale of Game of Thrones. Like anybody grieving, I am seeking the consolation of friends. I've just called up my childhood friend, filmmaking associate, Dylan. He's calling all the way from the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Hello.
To discuss this absolute travesty.
To grieve as brothers.
So yeah, a lot to get into. But you know what, man? It was interesting. I like kind of fell asleep on my couch just now, and I had this really like disturbing nightmare. It was that I was watching the series finale of Game of Thrones, and Jon killed Daenerys, and Bran became king.
It's bad news for you, buddy.
Yeah, it was really horrible, dude. What the fuck?
When you and I have spoken about this before, they can do whatever they want story-wise. You just have to have it make sense in the context of everything else happening in the show.
Yeah.
If you want to have Jon kill Daenerys, you have to provide other things to back up Jon killing Daenerys. You have to provide context. You have to give reasons for this. You have to have it make sense within the context of both of their characters. And it just doesn't fit either of their storylines. It doesn't fit either of what you'd want from them.
No, not at all. Yeah, no, it was a fucking mess, man. Like, okay, so Jon going to kill Daenerys, that whole scene. Well, I guess we should start there because it's a fucking major scene. I mean, first of all, like, would you agree with me that that is like the climactic moment of this whole fucking TV show?
Yes, that has to be what Jon and Daenerys are probably the two most main characters in the show. It's tough with such an ensemble cast, but if you had to, you would pick.
Yeah, so
it's a song of ice and fire. They are ice and fire.
Precisely. Just like Sam's fucking book. So, like, you would think that as being a climactic moment, there would be like a little bit of suspense.
Yes, of course.
You know, just like a little bit of, oh, what's gonna happen? You know.
Right. Not have a discussion about we should have her killed. It's the right thing to do, and then immediately within 2 minutes have her be dying.
Well, and he goes in and Jon, oh, you idiot. If he's like planning to kill her, why would he go in and start fucking bitching about the all the massacres and the innocent people being killed? Like, you killed all the people, but you're still my queen.
It's almost like he was just hoping that there was like that one small little chance. Just a small chance that, maybe if I just go in and remind her, hey,
yeah,
you just did a horrible thing, she'll be like, oh, you're right, I'm totally right, my bad, dude. Let's stop doing that.
That's fair.
I think that's what he was just hoping there. There's just a little incy little bit left, and it wasn't left. There was nothing. No,
there's nothing.
Gone full her like her mom.
Yeah, full heiress. Yeah, no, it was. Poor Dany, man. Poor Dany. I was kind of rooting for her at the beginning, like when she was talking about conquering the world. I was like, okay, yeah. I'm kind of down with this, man. Like, I don't know. All of her advisors, Tyrion has been an idiot for 2 seasons. Varys was a complete fucking idiot.
I don't know what you're talking about. Master of Whisperers talking about treason in broad daylight. That's exactly how I would handle that.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, could you imagine, like, season 1 Varys? Just, like, like, fuck, man. And actually, I want to talk to you a little bit about that very long and protracted and snoozeworthy, in my opinion, a Jon and Tyrion scene in the cell, right? Like as soon as it said, like in the opening credits too, directed by David Benioff and Dan Weiss, I was like, oh no.
No other writers, no other directors. This was all them.
Yeah, and the direction in that scene was just like, all right, Jon, so you're gonna sit down because you're very conflicted. So you're just gonna sit and have your head down, and that's gonna mean that you're conflicted.
Yeah, it's very clear that the two of them don't really have a good grasp on how to tell a story effectively in that sense.
Yeah, man, but I don't know. Like, there were, like, such good moments. Like, I don't know, a lot of the departures from the books in the earlier seasons, like Tywin and Arya. Like, I really loved that bit in season 2,
Yeah.
Like, I feel like these guys are talented, and obviously Reddit and the internet's, like, shitting all over them, and rightfully so. I mean, they fucked up this season. And actually, you know what, Dylan, I just learned, right before you called, I learned that today is the 20th anniversary of the release of The Phantom Menace.
I was going to bring it up. One of you and I's favorite movies.
Oh, absolute classic. Absolute fucking classic. Well, and like season 8 of Game of Thrones, the only redeeming thing about The Phantom Menace is the score. I want to talk to you actually a little bit about the scenes that I did like. So I liked Brienne writing Jaime's story in the book of the Kingsguard. I really liked that. It was fucking stupid, but like it just and you know how I feel about how Jaime's arc turned out. Because, you know, it seemed like the thing was like, died protecting his queen, right? That's directly referring to, you know, killing the Mad King, right? So it's just like he sort of begins his story killing his king, and then he dies protecting his queen. It's like the fucking worst interpretation. Like, always Jaime's character was going to end with some sort of like mirroring, right? Like, it's like poetry, it rhymes, of him with the Mad King, right? Like, that was always going to happen. Whether it was Cersei going to be the Mad Queen, like everybody thought he's going to kill Cersei, the Mad Queen. But it seemed like, I don't know, man, it seemed like he fucking made like the right call with Aerys. And I fucking said this shit since season 1. It's like, well, I mean, Aerys was basically Hitler in the bunker, right? Like, this is a fucking bad dude. You know, even before his whole monologue with Brienne in the bathtub, like, it always occurred to me, like, why is everybody so pissed at this guy? Like, he did clearly the right thing. He did the only thing he could do in that situation.
You know, to prevent, like you said, you know, he saved 500,000 lives.
And to have him just, he died protecting his queen, like, that's some good thing. Oh, no, he just fucking threw his life away, man.
Now they want to persecute Jon for essentially the exact same thing he did. Except Jaime did it as a preventative measure. Jon did it when he already knew that she was going to murder millions more, because guess what? She just murdered tens of thousands of people. Why would anyone ever want to punish Jon? The only people, you know what's up? The only people who even wanted to punish Jon leave.
Yeah.
This is not intentional on Dan and Dave's part, because it's way too clever for them. It's way too. They can't even get Gendry's bastard name right. There's no clever details like this.
Yeah.
That Nos, where they're headed, has a disease called the butterfly disease.
Oh, yeah.
It kills all outsiders.
Yes.
So the fact that the Unsullied are heading there is beautiful, because they're headed to their death.
And fucking, like, of course, you know, our people have no weapons, you know. So how is Grey Worm going to be received when he arrives with a fucking gigantic army, and he doesn't have Missandei there to be like, no, it's cool, this is my boyfriend, you know?
No, I really think that's what a lot of where this whole season went wrong, is they were trying to either, you know, there's the phrase everyone bandies around, which is making fun of subverting expectations.
Yeah.
They tried to do that, and they tried to have everyone end up in poetic ending or something along those lines. And it just so much of it just feels forced.
Yeah, precisely.
They made up an ending, and then they did whatever they had to do to get there. They made a character and decided, okay, let's react within this character's, you know, mind. Like, okay, if Dany does this, how does Tyrion react? And how does Jon react? And blah, 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 you know, et cetera, et cetera. They just decided, okay, Jon's going to murder Dany. How do we get to this point? Okay, let's make Dany go insane. How does Dany go insane? People she loves have to die. Okay, we're going to kill everybody she loves. Really seems like that's how they wanted it. That's how they wanted it. Hey, we're going to have Bran become king because that'd be cool. Okay, we need to get rid of every other possible person to be in Bran's way. Okay, now Bran's king. Like, it seems like that. They just worked their way from the ending back, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, because I'm sure a lot of good stories are written that way. But this is not one of
No,
them.
no, man. And who fucking thought, you know what would be a great... You know who should be king? Bran. It makes no fucking sense. No fucking sense whatsoever.
It makes no sense.
Okay, so I want to tell you about the other scene that I liked, which was Sansa becoming Queen of the North.
Okay.
So I'm a fan of that ending for Sansa.
I too am a fan of that.
Yeah, and it was kind of funny of just like, you know, she's just telling to Bran, it's like, yo, brother, what's up, bro? So we're not gonna kneel anymore. Like, we've been through too much. And Bran's like, okay, whatever.
Why did all of the other kingdoms go along with that?
Yes,
the North?
Dude, that fucking Prince from Dorne. Like, why wasn't he just like,
Didn't a season ago Yara tell Dany, I'll be with you, but I'm going to be an independent kingdom in the Iron Isles?
Yes!
She just sat there and was like, yeah, totally, Bran's my new fucking horse, baby. Like, fuck it. It's you know, like, why doesn't the Prince of Dorne sitting there? Why doesn't he just, hold on a second, guys. Like, I know none of you even know my name, but, and I'm just a random person you casted to have here, but, I just want my own kingdom.
And it makes me think of that famous, like, George R. R. Martin quote where he's talking about, like, you know, what is Aragorn's tax policy? You know, does he commit genocide against the orcs? You know, I feel like they fucking just broke that rule completely.
In regards to, like, the kingdoms and everything, like yeah, we have some clear definitions. I did like that they had Rob and Aaron there.
Yeah.
I like that they brought Edwin back. That was good. He's sort of been there.
Yeah. And I love that actor too. He's great. Yeah.
But like, did they not make Bronn King of the Reach? That I get Bronn. I'm sure you know this, but like everybody, like Bronn is only in this show because of things called Q ratings. Bronn is only in this show because he gets high ratings with a certain group of fans that they don't normally get
Yeah, dude, absolutely. No, he's a fucking useless character.
Yeah, Braun becoming a leader at the end is the worst possible.
I know, I know. It makes his usefulness expired the moment he refused to fight for Tyrion in the trial by combat when he was accused of Joffrey's murder. That fucking small council meeting with the I once brought a honeycomb into a brothel. Oh my god, dude.
Beautiful. Like, some of those are great characters. We are both huge Davos fans.
Yes, of course.
The fucking man.
I'm glad he made it. Glad he made it.
Glad he made it. Yeah, one of my favorite characters. I'm so happy he got his redemption. I'm so happy he gets to be a true and honored lord and not consider himself the Onion Knight. But his last conversation is about brothels.
Yeah, exactly.
Really, D&D. That's how you end it for some of the most important characters in the show, talking about brothels.
Well, speaking of last scenes, I hated Daenerys' death. I hated what they did to her character. It was absolutely awful. But when Drogon, and by the way, it was incredibly nice of Drogon to not fucking burn Jon to a crisp. It was very, very cooperative of him. But he was Dylan, he was angry at the throne. It was the throne who caused all the trouble. Give me a fucking break. Dragons are smarter than men, some say. And the last shot of Game of Thrones was just like some wildlings going into a forest. And like, I get that they, and they sort of mirrored that shot from the pilot, right? Of like the poor three Night's Watchmen, Sir Weimar and yeah. Sort of going beyond the walls of the White Walkers. They were sort of mirroring that a little bit. And that was fine. But like, I feel like the last shot of Game of Thrones should have been like Drogon fucking wailing in anguish, above fucking the ruins of Valyria or something, like still carrying Dany's corpse. You know what I mean? Like, we should have gone back to Drogon.
I was talking about this with the people who watched the show and other friends of ours,
and
we were talking about ways just small little scenes you could have improved this with. When Bran exits the council, he says, "Oh, I'll go find Drogon." Could he have just rolled his eyes in the back of his head and warged right there, and then we see a shot of Drogon above old Valyria?
Yeah, right fucking there. And by the way, I didn't realize that Sam was all of a sudden exempt from his vows, and now he's Grand Maester. Why the fuck is Sam the Grand Maester? Why didn't they fucking bring back Jim Broadbent?
The reason they do it just doesn't make sense within the context of the interior of the show. It makes sense to viewers because it's a familiar face, and it's someone we want to see, and it all comes back to ratings. That's why we got so much of this season. That's why we got Arya being the one to take out the Night King. There's so many things that happened just because they knew that the fans would want to see these characters more. So that's why they did it. Which to me also is a little baffling in the sense of why Grey Worm survived. Because I don't know a single person who likes Grey Worm as a character.
No.
I don't think I've ever met a single person. But you know what character I really love and enjoy, and it seems really warmed my heart in Game of Thrones? Grey Worm.
Yeah, dude. Yeah. Why is he alive? Why are all these useless characters still alive? And actually, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about Tyrion's little monologue about like how stories like unite us, right? And stories are like really important. There's clearly like a little bit of a meta thing there because in many ways, Game of Thrones has been like the defining story of like our generation, man. I feel like it was kind of Star Wars for our parents, and it's Game of Thrones for us.
Yeah.
And really, ever since the decline of like religiosity in at least the Western world, we've like replaced the Iliad and the Bible with fucking Star Wars. Like these are our stories. Like these are like the stories that define us as cultures. And they were kind of like reaching toward that, right? That sort of like lofty sort of meaning and like, oh, like who better but Tyrion to deliver this meaningful monologue. But then it's all in service of, and whose story is more interesting than Bran's? Oh, I don't know. Tommen's. You know what I'm saying? Like, what?
Yeah.
Like, Bran has the most interesting story? This is madness. This is fucking madness. It would have been less stupid if Joffrey's corpse had, like, had come out of the crypt and, like...
Like, did Sir Pounce survive everything? Can we get Sir Pounce out here, please?
Yeah.
And make him the fucking king?
Yeah, exactly.
My two favorite... So we're talking about favorites. It's a couple of my favorite things that I enjoyed. There were big scenes that I enjoyed, but I'm very much a sucker for the little things. Jon finally getting Pet Ghost. Oh boy, I'm so happy that finally happened. I was so furious when they ended episode 4. And episode 4 ends with Jon and Ghost separating, and he doesn't even fucking touch him. very satisfied that they just did that intentionally to wait to make this one more meaningful. I'm okay with it. I'm happy with that. That's great. And the other one I like is Pod the Rod.
Becoming the Kingsguard.
Becoming a member of the Kingsguard under Brienne is amazing because that guy is awesome. His arc is great, going from just a nothing squire who just gets randomly picked by Tyrion to becoming a knight of the Kingsguard. And it's just, it's what I live for in this show. And the reason that the show and the books and the story world is so meaningful to the both of us is because they have hundreds of characters like that it just seem small and insignificant because they're, involved in such a deep world and involved in something greater than themselves. We are able to latch onto them and, really connect with them.
Yeah, dude. Well said.
That they ended this so poorly.
I mean, we both avidly consume just stories, like books, movies, television shows, and so we kind of just have this and we have since we were fucking kids, this kind of innate sort of sense of how a story is supposed to function.
This last season does not.
Yeah, it just broke all the fucking rules.
You said earlier it felt like a fever dream. To me, it felt like a parody. That's what this whole last season, specifically, episode 3, episode 5, and last episode, really did feel like a oh, we know what's really going to happen, but how can we make fun of that?
It seems like episodes 1 and 2 of season 8 have just aged so poorly now. What a horrible use of the time.
I did a full rewatch this week.
Did you?
Rewatched all 5 episodes, and yeah, it sucks because there's some great scenes, but
I felt like there were scenes that were good. There were moments that were good.
Yeah.
So Dylan, what do you think would be okay, so I'm David Benioff, you're Dan Weiss. How should this story have ended?
One of the things that my biggest gripes is Jon is a Targaryen, and Jon is a Targaryen, but for what reason? They didn't I'm okay if Jon's not the one who killed the Night King, but that means they need to use his Targaryen to get to become the king. So, and I'm okay if Jon doesn't become the king at the end, because that's not really, if you think about what the reason Rhaegar was so intent on having another son, was because he thought his son would be the prince that was promised. So it's okay that Jon doesn't become the king, but it's not okay because he also didn't kill the Night King and isn't the prince that was promised. The first major thing I would change is Jon ends up either one of those two things.
Yeah, I completely agree.
It can be either one, because everything else you can work everything else around that. But I really, truly, and honestly believe that if you're going to make one of your main characters have this massive fucking secret that nobody knows about until the very end, and make it a huge deal, and then have him die and come back to life, which is a huge thing. It's got to have a payoff, and you got to do something with it. And I don't buy that the only reason they used it was to make Dany go even crazier because she was scared that they would use that against her.
Maybe one of the only things in this entire season that they are taking from the books, because as you and full disclosure, and I'll gladly admit my errors in front of the whole internet here. When we back when we discussed Game of Thrones in, I don't know, whatever the fuck, 2013, 2014, you were always pushing for R plus L equals J. You were always an advocate for that, and I was just oh no, it's way too obvious, it's way too simple, and you were right. you were completely right, and I knew nothing in that moment. Yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's they took that from the books and basically nothing else. That's just kind of my theory. Maybe Jaime and Cersei dying together, I could see that happening in the books.
Right, I could even see, Sansa becoming a queen in the North,
yeah.
The North becoming independent. That makes sense. Maybe they did do that, they did that, but you like that, and I like that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But we haven't talked about Arya's ending.
Oh my fucking god, dude. You mean Leif Erikson? Arya, Leif Erikson, Stark? Yeah, no, fuck that shit, man. That was so fucking stupid.
Yeah, they can't hold that against you at all.
Yeah. Well, you know what made me laugh was was when Arya just kind of appeared next to Jon in the Red Keep. You remember that? I laughed. I burst out laughing.
Speech, why don't you just walk past all the other
Yeah, exactly. Well, she walked past all the White Walkers. Not that's nitpicking. That didn't bother me actually when I've seen a lot of people talking about that now. Oh, how did Arya get past all the White Walkers when she killed the Night King? And that didn't bother me. It bothered me that Arya killed the Night King, but the sort of mechanics of it did not. Whatever, it's movie magic. Yeah, no, I legitimately hope that she lands in the Bahamas and is savagely murdered by cannibals.
Nothing would make me happy.
I hope she lands in Louisiana and catches yellow fever and is quickly a victim of the piss poor healthcare system in my fair state. She just washes up in Baton Rouge and immediately turns back and says Westeros is better. No, anyway. It made no fucking sense at all. Hated it. Hated every square inch of it. Is there anything else that we liked? I mean, acting was good.
And the cinematography is always
yes.
The shot where they come up the stairs and Drogon lands with Dany, like that's a cool shot. That's a wallpaper for me.
Yeah, not exactly subtle, like not exactly understated, but a good shot. Yeah.
They have beautiful shots in beautiful small scenes and like picture perfect acting. Out of most of them, I'm not a huge fan of Emilia Clarke.
Yeah.
And I can't even remember the name of the actor who plays Bran, but I'm pretty sure that the tree in front of my apartment can do just as good a job.
Less oak, more birch.
There's so much amazing acting in this season. It's all just been for shit.
Yeah. It really fucking has. Dinklage killed it.
Dinklage always kills it.
Yeah, no, that scene where he found poor Jaime and Cersei's bodies.
And I'm really loving. We've talked about this. I'm really loving how all the actors now are getting to finally get asked about the ending.
Yeah.
Slowly getting to give their true feelings on it.
Yeah, dude. What about fucking season 7, man? I feel like that has not also aged well. I was a bit of a defender of it. Like I fucking hated like the whole like march beyond the wall and like assemble the Avengers and all that. I was never a fan of that episode, and I also fucking despised how Bronn dragged Jaime across the lake after the field of fire, right? It's like dragged him through the lake in plate armor, and they just emerged going on the other side of the river, like. That was fucking incredibly stupid. But like there were like those moments that were really dumb, but I generally defended it, and I was like, well, maybe we'll just like remember this as like the bad one, as like the bad season, and then like it'll pay off.
Yeah, people nowadays remember the first half of season 6 of The Sopranos, where he disappeared in New Hampshire for absolutely no reason. People remember that similarly, where it's like, okay, like the first half was pretty bad, but they redeemed it with a great second half, and especially a really great final 2 episodes. We're getting closer to like Dexter.
Yeah.
I don't know how much of Dexter you've seen.
No, I'm not. I haven't followed it.
I'm a Dexter fan.
Yeah.
I loved that show. Watched all of it up until season 5, and then it fell off a cliff harder than it's ever fallen off a cliff up until this week.
Up until tonight. Yeah, no, it was an absolute fucking disaster. Everyone involved in the writing should be ashamed. And you know what? I might rewatch the last season of, Dylan, to feel better about myself.
I have a feeling I know what you're gonna say.
So there was this little show about a high school chemistry teacher who decided to cook crystal meth. Last 3 episodes of Breaking Bad, they weren't exactly like, they didn't subvert my expectations. They weren't unpredictable, but they were damn effective and really moving, and just wrapped it up so beautifully in just like a nice little bow, and all the loose ends were tied up, and it was fucking great. Game of Thrones has not taken the Iron Throne of television. It is very clearly in Vince Gilligan's hands. It's just, they failed. Maybe we're being too harsh. Maybe it was just an impossible task. But at the same time, like I just kind of get the feeling that if like 2 assholes like us and just like every fucking limp dick cocksucker on Reddit can come up with a more poetic ending to this show.
It's not even about like a full change. Really, like little things that we've talked about that they could have just done differently. Like they want to kill Rhaegal, cool, kill Rhaegal. But you could have totally killed Rhaegal in the battle
Yes.
of King's Landing makes the impact of it 10 times stronger.
Yeah, 10 times stronger. And that battle, just as a whole, like we talked about at the beginning, like about the suspense, right? Like the lack of suspense leading up to Dany's death. What about the fucking lack of suspense leading up to Cersei's death? Like the fucking, like this hugely main character who got to do nothing this season, and it was always a foregone conclusion that Dany was gonna win. Like, where was that fucking moment where, you know, yeah, like they fucking speared Rhaegal with the scorpion, and it was just like, yes, and Qyburn had that satisfied look on his face, and you know, and it looked like all was lost for Dany, but then like the last second she, like, you know, she pulls through or whatever, and yeah, and maybe she does have to burn like all the innocent people in the Red Keep just to, like, you know, for strategic goals or whatever, you know, and maybe she's even happy about it, you know, or whatever the fuck, you know, want to make her into the Mad Queen, like make her into the Mad Queen, but like don't fucking like, but don't fucking have her like wearing a fucking black SS uniform and like talking crazy and have her little triumph of the will moment. Daenerys is going to set about and conquer the world now, and yeah, she's talking like Hitler, and it's super scary, but at the same time, like, she's fucking earned this.
Oh, dude, she definitely did all she needed to do to get there.
Yeah, like Tyrion, like everybody but Olenna pretty much said, like, please don't, you know, murder all these people, like, you can't, you know, don't burn King's Landing to the ground, whatever. Well, guess what? It worked. That saying that is like a stretch, because obviously Tyrion and all them and Varys and everybody, like, counseling caution was just a fucking super contrived plot device to keep Cersei alive for longer. Yeah, no, I would say that I'm heartbroken, but it's I mean, we knew what this episode was going to be. It wasn't a surprise. Any final thoughts, my friend?
You know what I'm really hoping, though, and I've been thinking about this.
What?
I really hope that all of this isn't just a lead-in for more Game of Thrones. I really hope, like, we know they have, like, sequels and prequels or whatever, but it seems like a lot of the stuff they did here, like, they left it open so that they can come back and, like, we can see, like, entire miniseries about Arya, and see them doing a miniseries about Bran as king, or Jon, or Sansa, or whatever. Like, I really hope that they didn't intentionally go that route. You mentioned Breaking Bad being a superior ending, and it is undoubtedly a superior ending. They could have left stuff open. You know, we could have, you know, followed, you know, Jamie, you know, we could have followed people to do other, like, they could have left that more of an open ending. Instead, they decided to close every thread and make it satisfying. I feel like they almost did the opposite, and I pray to God they didn't do it for that reason. Because if they did it for that reason, they're gonna get their comeuppance on that.
From the writers of Confederate, Arya the Conquistador, do you think that's gonna go over well, Dylan? Like, do you think that's gonna, like, no, man, like, people will be riding in the streets, and fucking rightfully so. Like, oh yeah, like, Arya comes across the great Aztec city and gives them all smallpox. Like, oh, that's not problematic at all.
And all I'll say about this is that I'm disappointed that one of my favorite shows, something I've enjoyed, you know, watching with you, watching with all my other friends, I fucking know people just because of this show now. I have made friends at, like, music festivals and college campuses and stuff based solely off me walking up to them and saying that I'm a woman. You know, I can remember I remember where I watched The Red Wedding. The Red Wedding,
Yeah.
I was watching that in my buddy's apartment in Colorado on my phone while everybody got drunk and stoned around me. I can remember the lengths I've gone to not miss the episodes and to not be spoiled when I cared. And it's just so disappointing to me that 9 years has culminated in this.
Yeah.
It's so disappointing.
Just absolutely heartbreaking. Well, on that note, yeah, let's say goodbye to our YouTube audience, and you know, and we can continue this conversation if we like, not being recorded, and of course we'll tell the truth about how much we fucking loved the episode, because I mean we have to pretend that we hated it just for the hate train, you know. I mean,
It's my favorite thing ever.
this is my favorite episode ever.
Did I do it? Did I do a good job?
Yeah, you did a great job. You did a great job. The check's in the mail from HBO, and obviously I'll cut this bit. Like, I'm gonna cut this part of the review. So yeah, just don't worry. Nobody will know that we're being personally paid by HBO. Not at all. Not at all.